Hello and welcome back to Megan TT Hobbies. This is let me straighten you out there. There we go. This is a video that kind of kicks off this Disney project that I'm doing, focusing on Disney Legends. And literally it is folks that have won the Disney Legends Award that seems to be every year to every 2 years. But also part of this is going to be focusing on people that are in the Imagineering series that just came out on Disney Plus. There's been some awesome stories that have been told. If you have not checked it out, first of all, make sure you get Disney Plus. And then second of all, check out the Imagineering series. I think it's only this 4 or 6 episodes, but they could do maybe some future stuff. So we'll see. But I have 5 returns that have all come back in like a week or 2 from Disney Legends. And what I have next to me that you can't see off camera is I pulled up their D23, which is a Disney group. I pulled up their Disney Legends kind of profile. This first one is coming in from Floyd Norman, and I think I might have talked about his before, but he won in 2007. I think I've shared with him before, or maybe like a Mystery Monday, but I wanted to make sure to feature him here. And he signed on these cool, they're playing cards that I got, and then the artist card that he signed, but then he did a couple of sketches for me, which are amazing. So, Mr. Floyd Norman, how did he work when it comes to in Disney? And I apologize if I stare at the screen off camera, just to kind of read some of this. He worked on Sleeping Beauty, Sword in the Stone, The Jungle Book, various other Disney shorts that they did in the 50s and 60s. Once Mr. Walt Disney passed away, Mr. Norman actually left Disney and worked on the Hey, 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 It's Fat Albert television series in the 60s. In the 70s, though, he decided to return to Disney, worked on Robin Hood, Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch, Jabberjaw, and I have to say I haven't heard of either one of those. And then the new Fred and Barney show and the Quickie Koala show. So, some things that you might not have ever heard of. But he has been consulting most recently on Toy Story 2 and Monsters, Inc., and also The Hunchback of Notre Dame and the animated Mulan. So that is a little bit about Floyd Norman, a amazing animator. So this next one is for Mr. Dick Nunis, and he got the award in 1999. And so I'll show you a couple of those autographs. So he signed it up here. These are just the little custom cards that I made for him. But then I was like, what do I have some of these guys sign? And so I actually sent him the Walt Disney World castle, and then the Disneyland castle, and then I thought this was kind of cool. I think this might be over in California Adventure, I forget. And he signed it down there too. So let's talk about him a little bit. He worked, and he also wrote a little thanks for writing thing on my note. He worked for Disney for 44 years. He worked at both Disneyland and Disney World. Interestingly enough, though, he played football at USC. And it all started with a summer job at the new Disneyland theme park. I'm just scrolling down. So I'm just going to read this word for word. It says, Dick soon worked his way up to attractions supervisor, developing standard operating procedures for all of the park's attractions. Many of these are still in use today. In 1961, he became the director of park operations and helped develop Project X, better known as Walt Disney World. He was there for Disney World opening. He was a executive vice president for both Walt Disney World and Disneyland. He then went and worked on outdoor recreation, Epcot, what is Hollywood Studios, that would have been MGM at the time, and then consulted on Disneyland Paris, Tokyo, Disneyland, and he finally retired from basically the attractions or the park side in 1999. And if you don't know anything about Disney Legends, there's like film ones and like art animator ones, and then there's like attraction ones. So he follows under the attraction ones. So you're getting a Disney history lesson. This next one is coming back from Tom Nabby or Nabby. I'm not sure. 2005, he was a Disney legend, signed it nicely up here, and then he incorporated 2019 into his signature. So he won the award in, like I said, 2005 for Parks and Resorts. And let me show you these. So he put to Megan, best wishes, signed it and dated it on that's the Disneyland, and then the Disney World. And then he was super cool to include a couple of pictures. This is signed very nicely in silver, and that's the actual award. You can kind of see it there. And then this is a well-known picture of him that I'll talk about, but that is Walt Disney, and there he is. So in 1956, Walt Disney recognized what would be the Tom Sawyer character in, I'm just going to call him Tom so I don't say his last name. And so he became, quote, the luckiest boy in the world. He was actually on a magazine, and he was incorporated into Tom Sawyer's Island, there at Disneyland. And here's a cool part. It says one of the job requirements, because I mean he was a kid, he was a teenager, was that Tom had to keep a C average in school. So every quarter he brought his report card directly to Mr. Walt Disney for inspection. When he outgrew or outaged the role of Tom Sawyer's, he went on to manage other attractions. And he actually met his wife there, who was working a concession stand in 1965 in Disneyland. And then he was, like a lot of other folks, transferred in 1971 to Walt Disney World, and he started as the manager of the monorail. And that's right, the monorail for Disney World has been around for that long. And then he also helped in the opening of Disneyland Paris. It says 48 years later, in 2003, he retired from Disney World. And he was the last working member of Club 55, which is a group of original Disneyland cast members named for Disneyland's inaugural year and for their chief qualification of membership, you had to have a paycheck from Walt Disney dated in 1955. So that's just really cool. Somebody that interacted with Walt Disney. And I'm not going to show it because it has my information, but he wrote a little note, and he talks about that his favorite memory was meeting his wife at Disneyland, and that being Tom Sawyer was a job, but also it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about people, which helped me so much later in my life. And so, a really, really cool response. This next one is James Cora. I'm going to pull up his. He was also received his Disney Legend in 2005 for Park and Resorts. So he signed my little card. And then that's Disneyland. And then I really like this Disney World shot there with the partner statue with Walt and Mickey, and then the castle for Walt Disney World in the back. Because there's really not pictures that are of decent quality of these folks. So I thought sending these iconic images from either Disneyland or Disney World or both would be appropriate. So a little bit about James. He started, like a lot of them, part-time at Disneyland as an attraction host in 1957. And then, let me keep going. He ended up going to college, and he basically then worked his way up in management positions at Disneyland. He helped, like I said, as a lot of the other folks, in 1971 for Magic Kingdom, Walt Disney World. He did, if you've ever heard of it, the Disney Way of Leadership program, and then worked on Fantasyland and Tomorrowland at Disneyland? Yeah, Disneyland. And then he was the managing director of operations for Tokyo Disneyland. And then he was also vice president, Walt Disney Productions Japan. And then he also worked on Disneyland Paris in the 80s. And he finished, where did he finish? After Tokyo Disney Sea, he then retired in 2001, 43 years later from Disney. And then this last one to share today is from Mr. Ron Logan, also in the Parks and Resorts, 2007. And he actually has a window at Magic Kingdom. And it says Main Street Music Company, and it reads, Ron Logan leading the band into a new century. And he had a 3-year career. Let me get to what I want to talk about. And then he signed, I feel like I sent him more than one, but maybe not, the Magic Kingdom partners. He put Disney Legend 2007, so, which he also had put on the card. And there's the fireworks that I was kind of expecting since it's New Year's. Let me get to it. So he was just in charge of a lot of the attraction, like, not the attractions, but the entertainment. He's got a music background. And he retired in 2001. Sorry, his bio is not super great. So here's just a little blurb on him. It says, from a starting point of simple marching bands and costumed characters, Logan delighted Disney guests with spectacles, fireworks, music spectaculars, and Broadway-style stage musicals, all within the gates of Disney. And I think he only worked so he moved to Florida to be the Walt Disney World music director in the late 70s. Then he went back, like a lot of other folks, in the 80s to Disneyland as the parks director of entertainment, and then in 82 went back to Disney World as the vice president of entertainment. Because if you've ever been to any of those, I mean, the parades, the shows, even the street performers, some, and then there's just tons of music that you have to create and be in charge of. And then it talks about, like, he was an executive vice president, and he worked on everything. He worked on Tokyo. He worked on Paris. He worked on the cruise line stuff. There's entertainment aspects of all of those. And like I said, he retired in 2001 from Disney World. So hopefully this video has not bored you, but just is a little glimpse into some different autographs that I am working on collecting. I don't know, I think I maybe sent 20 of these out, so we'll see if I can get some back after Christmas here, because they've only been out since like the 2nd of December. And then, like I mentioned, I'm going to go through, and some of the folks that were in the Imagineering series that have not yet won the Disney Legend Award, and send out to those folks too, because I found a few addresses for them. So like, comment, subscribe, let me know how you like this other take on a video. Again, it's Floyd Norman, Dick Nunes, Tom Nebby, James Cora, Ron Logan. Google search them, take a look. They are amazing contributors to the history of Disney. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Happy New Year.